Hello there everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, and after being missing in action last week with the Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race Race and Strategy Guide, we are back for this week's one at Lago Maggiore full course in the Group 2 machinery, and specifically it is the 2016 GT500s, so that's your Honda NSX, your Nissan GTR and your Lexus RCF. We've got 12 laps to get around, tyre wears at ×2, fuel at ×1, soft and medium tyres available, both compounds are mandatory, BOP is on, damage is light, slipstream is real, yay, and it is a rolling start, and for your settings allowed, it's just the brake balance. Now I don't think we've done this combination in Daily Race C on GT7 before. We've definitely done the reverse layout, but I don't remember doing this layout here, and also it being limited to the 2016 GT500 is also a nice little move. But there's a lot to talk about in this one, but the first thing I want to talk about before we move on to the race is when you go into the lobby, you want to be taking a note of that temperature, and the reason for that is because we're on the soft tyres and we're on a track where the soft tyres are going to be temperature critical. So I have seen a range of 23 degrees, which is our race here, right up to 27 degrees, and if you're up into the upper echelons of the 20s, those soft tyres are going to hit that region where they start to overheat and they massively lose grip. Now obviously not everybody is going to have access to a temperature app, and that is on PD because the information should be provided to everyone, but there is going to be instances in this race when you're on your soft tyres and they're going to start to overheat. They're going to go into that threshold of about 88 degrees, certainly above 90 at times, and all the grip is going to go. So that's definitely something you want to be bearing in mind for this one. But we're in the Honda NSX here for the very first race of the week, the 8 o'clock race, now that the clocks have changed here in the UK. And it's pretty stacked, to be honest with you, lots of very well known names in here. Now we didn't get a whole lot of a practice, but yeah, it's Lago Maggiore, kind of Group 2 car. I sort of know my way around it. I maybe get 2-3 laps in before we jumped in. But we're already starting to drop behind here, and we get a little bit of a moment coming out of the right-hander, and we end up down in P16. The majority of the field being in the Honda NSX. There is a couple of people in Nissan GTRs as well. We're going to be seeing the back of one of those Nissan GTRs for quite a portion of this race. So we have started this one on the medium tyres down at the back of the grid, as you would expect. Now the tyre multiplier for this one is pretty low at only ×10, but Lago Maggiore is a track with a lot of corners and a lot of very fast corners, and we're in a car that can take those corners pretty fast, so even though the multiplier is pretty low, the tyre wear, these cars are certainly going to start chewing through the tyres, particularly those soft tyres. And as we said, the temperature is going to have an impact on that as well. Now the lobby we're in here, the temperature is pretty low, 23 degrees, so overheating of the tyres probably not so much of a problem here, but if you're behind another car, then you're going to start getting that dirty air. You're going to have to start putting a little bit more steering angle in, and that's just going to start generating heat through those tyres worse and worse and worse. And once the soft tyres get to that threshold of 90 degrees, you're really going to start getting an impact on your lap times. Now coming to the end of lap one here, I was quite surprised to see a driver dive into the pits. Now I did believe that the soft tyres would probably do the 11 laps. I mean, it's only 22 laps technically with the tyre multiplier taken into account, but I didn't think they were going to be in very good shape towards the end. But the Italian has went for the lap 1 pit, a bold strategy indeed. The rest of the field has stayed out. So obviously at this time of the week, everybody is in still exploratory mode, if you like. Nobody really knows how the race is going to play out, and somewhat ironically, given that I put a video out yesterday saying that Gran Turismo 7 has a strategy issue, PD kind of make me look a little bit stupid by giving us a race where that strategy issue is kind of certainly not anywhere near as prevalent in this race as it was last week at Grand Valley Highway, because there is a little bit of a pit stop window in this one, as we are going to see. Anyway, we've moved up into P14 now, courtesy of overtaking the German, and Key has went for a spin there as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but that allows us to move on to P13. I'm going to jump forward here to lap 3. We're in P11 now, and we're going to make our pit stop So we're going for a bit of an undercut as well, and a few other drivers up ahead have also gone for the same strategy. So we're going to bolt those soft tyres on, and yeah, we're going to ask 18 laps out of the soft tyres, or 9 laps on the track, but 18 laps with the multiplier factored in. So the pit loss at Lago Maggiore is always pretty short, and Group 2 is generally quicker than Group 3, Group 4, so your pit loss is only going to come in at around about 14 to 15 seconds. Now I've said 14 to 15 seconds because it really depends on how well you take the last corner. If you really nail the last corner, you can probably gain half a second on somebody who doesn't get the last corner taken so well. And just be careful when you're coming into the pits, because it's very easy to understeer on the last corner and drift wide and then cut over the white line. So just make sure you're well prepared to get into those pits when you are making your stop. So we're going to jump forward here to lap 6. A lot of the cars around us have made their pit stops now. Max actually pitted a lap before us, I believe, on lap 2 in that Nissan GTR. As we get here to lap 6, we have started to catch up to a little group of 3 cars. So I think at this point it's probably a good idea to talk about something you're going to be hearing about a lot if you watch various people live stream this one. And that is the old infamous dirty air, which in car groups above Group 3 can be very much of an issue, and it's definitely an issue here. Now we've jumped forward to lap 10, and as you can see we're still behind Got Max Power here in the Nissan GTR because we have been suffering in that dirty air, and I think it's also started to overheat my tyres. We have also now just been overtaken by the Italian. How the Italian is very fast, got the fastest lap of the race. Despite the fact they're on older tyres than me, they have managed to catch us and make that move. Now we did have a battle with them for a couple of laps, a couple of defensive moves into turn 1, but eventually they just got the run out of the big banky boy, and it was enough speed to carry up the hill and make the overtake. Now they are going to have a battle with Got Max Power, but I kind of like it. I like the fact that I was trying to kind of unlock the overtake on Got Max Power as the race went on. I was kind of trying to understand where's the dirty air really affecting the car, where's my car better than Max's, where's my tyres, where's my driving style allowing me to get an advantage over Max, and then can we get the car into a position as the race goes on to get a run into a corner. Now we do eventually get the overtake on Got Max Power there. I think he is suffering on the tyres pretty heavily by this point. He's definitely on the controller, and he picked that lap before me as well. He's going to come back at us into this corner here, but I had seen from the previous laps that he had trouble getting the car, the exit on this corner here, so I knew if I just kind of took the outside line, give him a little bit of space on the apex, we should be able to go on the throttle a little bit earlier and move up into P12. And we'll move up into P11 by the time this one finishes, courtesy of Mario Sonic on a Nintendo issue. I think he got a penalty on the last lap. But yeah, I think it's quite an interesting race. There is strategy options in there. You've got that dirty air to contend, you've got that kind of high temperatures on the soft tyres, turn into rubber if the temperature's too high. So there's a lot of factors to take into account in this one. Now, I thought I'd just show you the chat after this race because I quite like this race, but I do tend to, I appear to be the only one because it seems to have got not the most positive reaction from some of the people in the race. But yeah, I kind of threw a couple of grenades in there telling them how much I loved the real slipstream and beautiful dirty air. But let's finish off the video with the strategy options. We'll take a look at the optimal strategies first. So your optimal strategies, you start on the soft tyres and you finish on the mediums. You'll do about 6 to 8 laps on the soft tyres and you finish on your mediums 4 to 6 laps, just depending on how good you are on the tyres and that all important temperature. So if the temperatures are like 23 degrees, 8 laps is going to be a lot more viable than doing 8 laps if the temperature is like 27 degrees. Now I'd only really recommend starting on the soft tyres if you're in maybe the first 3 cars. Any further back than that and you are probably going to get stuck behind people on the mediums, and with that dirty air it's going to be difficult to overtake and you're probably not going to get the best out of them. If you start on the mediums, basically just the reverse, 4 to 6 laps on the mediums, 6 to 8 laps on the soft tyres. Again, taking a look at that temperature before you go into the race and gauge it from there. If you can download the app, and sort of look at those tyre temperatures. If you're on the soft tyres and they start to approach 90 degrees, then you're going to be in trouble. Now, I will have a video I'm going to put out maybe tomorrow that might give you some driving techniques in order to look after the tyres in terms of temperature. It could be very helpful for this race, so do look out for that. Let's move on to the undercut strategy. As you've seen, some of the drivers in our race pitted on lap 1. The Italian managed to make the tyres last and get a good result. We pitted on lap 3, some drivers pitted on lap 2. So there is an undercut strategy in there. Obviously, the earlier you pit, the worse your tyres are going to be at the end. And again, I can't emphasise enough, if the temperatures are high at the race start, then that's going to have an impact on how long your soft tyres are going to last. But quite a complex race, this one, with the temperatures, with the strategy, and with that dirty air. And sometimes a good portion of luck is what depends on getting a good result. And I think just getting lucky with the traffic and where you end up and who's driving around you is going to be as important as any strategy in this one. But yeah, I'm going to enjoy this race this week. None of that custom slipstream pish. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Good luck if you're racing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.